Here we are taking a look at my latest system, and I know you're probably going to say, Tennessee.Frank, that looks like the old system you were running. Well, you're right and you're wrong. You're right in that it is KDE. That's the desktop I am running, is KDE. That's my preferred desktop. The difference is this is Netrunner 19.01 Blackbird. And it is based on Debian. And the way we can see what's going on is, let me go ahead and pull Synoptic up. And you see right here, here is the repositories I'm pulling my software from. I'm pulling it from deb.netrunner.com. That's the main non-free. I removed the Skype. I don't use Skype, so I unchecked that box. But I'm also pulling it from deb.netrunner.com, and that's the 1901 for the desktop. That's going to be their main one, plus backports. And then I went ahead and checked this box and added it, and that's actually a Debian repository. That's their testing, and that's going to have their non-free and main. So you can see these repositories that I'm pulling software from, and you can tell by this is actually based on Debian. So it's not like my other distro in any way. I mean, my other distro was based on Ubuntu. So yeah, while this looks very much like the desktop that I had, we can go ahead. I even got this pulled up as dashboard. We can see all the applications that I have installed. Netrunner gives you a lot more games out of the box. See all these games that we get? But I've installed all my favorite stuff. I got Clementine on here. Got my HP stuff on there, so I get my printer hooked up. I installed Gparted. I mean, everything that I want, I can still get. The Debian repositories still have everything that I want and need in them. This comes with Handbrake, which is really cool. If you want to rip your DVDs and convert them to like an MP4 format so you can store them on a hard drive and then plug into your smart TV and play your movies from a hard drive on your TV. But yeah, all the software, LibreOffice, everything that I've been running on my other system, I have here. There are some other wallpapers. Since this is Blackbird, here's one that I thought was really cool. With all the birds, I thought that looked really cool. And that's the one I normally would run. But for this demonstration, I wanted to go ahead and run the wallpaper that I normally run when I was on Kubuntu. And we'll go ahead, we'll move over, we'll take a look at Kubuntu. And I'll show you how it's a bit different so we can kind of get a feel for this. And here we are, we're over in actually a Kubuntu install. I know, it looks the same, right? It's crazy. I mean, you got your menu and everything over here, just like on the other system. A little bit different here, if you notice, but not enough to really write home about. We still got our dashboard menu. Look at all our applications. I still got a lot of them that I installed. You know, Gparted, HTOP. I mean, it's all here. Looks very similar. LibreOffice, everything's here. Of course, like I say, you go to games, which they don't even have a games tab here. So we can't go to games, so I guess no games are installed by default. But yeah, everything looks the same. And to someone who would, run Windows, you'd think, oh, okay, same desktop. It's the same system. But let's pull up Synoptic. Look at all these here. Look at how many different repositories we're pulling from. And you can see they're all Ubuntu. Ubuntu, the Bionic Beaver, that's 1804. That's their long-term support. So everything here is Ubuntu or Canonical Partners. It's something through Canonical or Ubuntu. And yeah, it's a .deb packages. But none of them are through Debian. Like on the other one, my top one, I had it actually checked. It was actually coming from Debian. This is all coming from Ubuntu. So every package I download, everything I pull, comes from their servers, not from Debian's servers. Even though it very much looks the same, it's got the same desktop, same XFCE. We can open our file manager. I got the same fonts installed, that buff fonts, it's in here. So everything looks the same, but under the skin, under this desktop, it's completely different. It's pulling from different repositories, so packages are going to be a little bit different, so it's going to run a little bit differently. This may work on some computers, some systems, that the Debian-based one might not work on. The Debian-based one may work on some that this wouldn't work on. So really, looks can be deceiving. You cannot judge a book by its cover. We're going to take a look at one more distro. I'm going to put it in VirtualBox. We're going to boot into it and take a look at it. Okay, and here we are in OpenSUSE, and it's Leap. It's their stable version. They do have Tumbleweed, which is their rolling version. But you may say, well, gee, this looks just like the other two. You're right, it's KDE Desktop. It does look similar. You have the same menu that I set up. You can go through. You see I've not installed a lot of stuff because I'm just running this from a USB stick. Couldn't get it to work in VirtualBox, not sure why. But yeah, you can see there's a lot of the same programs, a lot of the same stuff, Simple Screen Recorder, Spectacle. What you do have though, instead of Synoptic, you have what is called the YAST Control Center. This is kind of awesome. This makes me wish I could run OpenSUSE. Anything and absolutely everything you would want to tweak, adjust, or do to your computer is in this control center. You got software management, your repositories, which we'll get to in a minute, online updates, media check. You can add on products, hardware information, set up your printer or scanner. Pretty much anything you need to do. Users and groups, security center and hardening, firewall. They even got App Armor in here, which is good to protect your packages from viruses and malware. Just everything is in here. And let me show you the differences. Here's our repositories. Not sure how well this is going to come across. Don't know if I can make it bigger or not. But it's OpenSUSE.org. It's not Debian. It's not Ubuntu. It's OpenSUSE. All the packages you're going to be installing on this system will come from their repos or their repositories. We call them repo for short. So while this does look very much the same, and to your basic casual user, they would say, oh, well, that's the same as the other two. Under the skin, it is very, very different. You're pulling from different repositories. You're getting different versions of software. Some versions may be a little newer. Some versions may be a little older. It just depends on how they manage their repos. So you see, you can't really always judge a book by its cover. This is the thing about Linux that I think really messes with the heads of people that are used to Microsoft Windows. And here we are back in my new system. And like I was saying on the other live boot to the USB stick, had Simple Screen Recorder shut down. I don't know if it ran out of room or what, but we'll continue over here. If you install Windows, say you do Windows 7 or Windows 10, you pretty much have what you have. Windows 10, you get the desktop they want you to have. You have the base system they want you to have. You run the software that they allow you to run. There's not as much freedom as there is with Linux. Linux, I can run any kind of software that my system will support. This is a Debian system. So any .deb files I can pretty much run on here. Or I can go and download the source files and compile it if you have these skills. Or you can do like a tar file, or tarball they call them, and compile it and run stuff. If there's no .deb packages, there's ways of doing that. But just the basic premise of Linux and why I'm so passionate about Linux is the freedom of it all. I can run this desktop on several different base systems. If I don't want Debian, say I want OpenSUSE for some reason, maybe like I said, I like Yast, I can still get the desktop I want. I don't have to run a desktop that they tell me to run. Same thing with Ubuntu. There are several flavors of Ubuntu. You can run the KDE version. You can run what I call Ubuntu proper, which has moved from Unity over to GNOME. It's GNOME 3 now. You can run the Mate desktop. There's LXQT. I think they may even, don't correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I think they may even have a Cinnamon spin in the works. I know you can do Linux Mint with Cinnamon. That's based on Ubuntu. So you have the freedom to run what you want to run, make your system look the way you want it to be. You don't have these crazy end user license agreements that lock you into kind of a contract where you can only run what they want you to run. If you ever read Microsoft's EULA, it would scare you to death. You would not run anything Microsoft. They basically own your computer when you install their software. You're just renting their software. You're not buying it. It's not yours to keep. You're paying a fee to rent it. They reserve the right to delete or add anything to your system that they deem necessary. Say you download a program that you really love and Microsoft comes along and says, oh no, that's pirated software, you can't have that. Your next update, it's gone. Say you delete something. Say you're not a huge Candy Crush fan, which from what I understand, this has been an ongoing issue with Windows 10. You uninstall Candy Crush. You don't want it on your system. You don't play it. You don't like it. Next update, guess what? You got Candy Crush back on your system. You don't have that issue with Linux. You install it, it's there. You uninstall it, it's there. You don't have to worry about anything. I know I seem, maybe kind of pushy with some of my videos about Linux, but as a gun community channel, which I started out as, I mean, if you followed my channel, it was, firearms and knives and gear. I've been running Linux for over 7 years now. I love it, and it's for that precise reason that I love firearms. It basically points to freedom. My ability to own firearms is something that a free person can do. In these countries and places that aren't so free, they don't allow firearms ownership. Same thing with Linux. There's a lot of places like Microsoft and to a little bit lesser extent Apple that are pretty much not open to free software. You can still run some of it, but hey, if they say you shouldn't run it or they don't like it, they'll delete it from your system. Linux is absolutely free. It's free to download, free to use. You have the freedom to change the code if you know how to do that. I don't. It'd be cool if I could. But you can go in and add things to the kernel, remove things from the kernel, do whatever you want with it. It's an open license. It's totally free. But I'll go ahead. I'm going to change my wallpaper back. I really love this one. And the main reason I put the other one on there was just for a comparison to show that systems can look identical on the surface here, but underneath they are quite different. They have different repositories. They handle software in a different way. They have different packages that you can install. Maybe some distros, don't have certain packages you want to run. Others do. So you have to kind of cull through the different distros. That's why a lot of us distro hop, especially in the beginning. We're trying to find that sweet spot. We're trying to find that distro that speaks to us, that gives us what we're looking for, the packages we need, the desktop environment we love. For a long time, it was XFCE. That was my go-to. I've been running KDE now for quite a while. They have improved it a lot. KDE Plasma 5, to me, it's just totally awesome. I love the way it works. So that's my desktop of choice. Right now, Blackbird is running pretty good. I may put it over on that other system. I may wipe Kubuntu off there. Can't really say for sure. But I do have the freedom to do that, and I don't have to pay a licensing fee to do it. I can install this on as many systems as I want, and I'm not having to pay money to Microsoft or anyone else for the privilege. So, like I said, it all boils down to freedom. I'm not being tracked by this system. I don't have to deal with all the malware on the system that Windows has on by default. So, like I always say, either we stand up for our freedom, and that includes the operating systems we run on our computer, or we can sit by and watch our freedom go away. So you all have an awesome rest of the day. We'll talk to you later. Tennessee Frank out of here.